So I'm hearing that Dune Awakening has heavy survival mechanics, including hydration and overheating. Can someone genuinely explain to me how the management of arbitrary meters in any game, not just Dune, enhances gameplay? Well, I'm here to educate. So having these meters, we can call it hydration, we can call it eating, we can call it avoid sunlight, we can call it Super Saiyan form. That we always have bars and meters since the dawn of time, and these can go very deep. Now, I admit that a lot of games do it poorly, but it doesn't mean they don't have a reason. But the games that do it poorly, well, a lot of designers don't fully think things through. So sometimes we do just tack on a bar because some other game did it, right? And so we add like a hunger bar in a survival game, and it's like, well, once in a while, just eat the meat in your pocket, and you just never think about it again, and it is very tacked on. But sometimes there is awesome food clocks that have a very prominent identity, and it is there for a reason. For instance, if I'm giving you a dungeon crawler, and I don't push you forward at all, right? Let's say there is no looming darkness or some type of hunger or bar that you need to maintain, even if it's not hunger, but let's say it's killing a creature or killing a monster, and every time you kill a monster, you feel rejuvenated, and it's supposed to push you forward. Well, if you design this very well, it could have a very, very potent part of the game to encourage the player in a certain play style. For instance, let's say I wanted to create a dungeon crawler, but I didn't want the player walking around and looking at every nook and cranny. And most of the time, maybe they'd be wasting their time. And I said, hey, I want them to value whether they could mosey around or I wanted to push them forward. Or let's say I had another game where I said, hey, I really, really want them focusing on the action. This is supposed to be a very fluid game. It's supposed to be very action focused. So while they could mosey around a little bit and I encourage them to combat, like killing an enemy recharges their energy, and while they're not in combat, their battery slowly depletes, what I'm doing is I'm encouraging the player and almost telling them, you need to go keep being in combat, right? Like a John Wick or something. And you get very bored and depressed if you're not in combat for a long time. Well, that would be my way to encourage the player to keep pushing forward and getting in combat, so I am controlling the tempo of the gameplay, right? So it could have very important reasons, the same as the hunger clock, which is very classic in roguelikes and things like that. Well, the reason it's there is because they don't want you just moseying around every dungeon. They want to push you forward so you can make tactical decisions, right? For instance, hey, I have a lot of food. I stumbled upon a warehouse that had a lot of food in it. Well, this time for a while, I can be very tactical and very methodical in full clear areas. Where another time I might be running low on food and rations, so I might have to take more risks or skip some areas or not fully explore or not take the long kitey way where I kite monsters around the whole arena to try to escape. I have to make different decisions because the wares that I have, right? So they could have very, very important parts to the game, right? We see this since the dawn of time. Now, I do admit that sometimes they aren't designed well. Sometimes they are tacked on, but it doesn't mean that they don't have a purpose. Since you're genuinely asking, I figured I'd explain.